Hi, it's Rich Mclean. Human monkey and spirit having human experience. I believe, just my humble opinion, there is a God. It's the light. The light will always win. The light's humble directions is in an illumination, and it has been, is, and always will be fated. There's good news, everyone, and it's right here, right now, when we align with what is right, what is light, oppose tyranny and fascism, reject injustice, value authenticity, atone for what's ethical, and act with non-violence to do no harm in the very best way we can. Please listen to my story. This is an all-in-one deal. Hi, it's Rich Mclean. Human monkey and spirit having human experience. I believe, just my humble opinion, there is a God. It's the light. The light will always win. The light's humble directions is in an illumination, and it has been, is, and always will be fated. There's good news, everyone, and it's right here, right now, when we align with what is right, what is light, oppose tyranny and fascism, reject injustice, value authenticity, atone for what's ethical, and act with non-violence to do no harm in the very best way we can. Please listen to my story. This is an all-in-one deal. Hi, it's Rich Mclean. The opposite to ignoring the detail and the factual evidence of my story is an allegory to delay, deny, defer my justice and my prosperity, and it is a metaphor for killing. Please listen. Rich Mclean! Crystal! My name's God, and I like to fuck. Here's a story. You should pay attention. One thing you gotta know, is he mad? Is he not? Column A, column B. Do people want to harm me? Abso-fucking-lutely. Have they? They've systemically oppressed me so much, I was literally fucking crucified. Now, after that happened in February 2021, I have been left in the lurch by very powerful political key players who are delaying, denying, deferring my justice and my ability to keep this human monkey of a body that loves to get baked and fucked present in this world. So I'm going to explain a few things. There's a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. This is in no way more evident than the crystallisation of Australian politics, the Office of Prime Minister in Cabinet refusing my freedom of information despite thousands of matches. Why would they withhold this information from me? It's in order, it's got a motive. That motive is to desecrate me and to forbid me of any prosperity and to not acknowledge the role these kingpins and political players, who I will name, in the conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, which aided and abetted my death 18 months ago. It was deemed a fatal injury. I tried to commit suicide in the hospital from the systemic oppression. And then 18 months later, over 18 months, I've lived in abject poverty with not enough to survive. It's a miracle I'm here. Join the miracle. I'm going to tell you a story, and yeah, it's pretty wild. Briefly, I've been a light worker, led by my heart and a gentle soul. I've got a track public record of advocating for marginalised people for over 25 years. I've spoken from Montreal to Australian Parliament to Dubbo, and my willingness to share a brave, vulnerable story has now been exploited, and further, the movement that wanted to hear my story at the same time exploited me for my honesty. And and now I'm exploited for that. And even though there is a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, which I'll name in a sec, which is systemic, endemic, and it's got a motive to destroy me, and it already has, and 18 months later has forsaken me, that today the government is sanctioning that I get a needle in the ass to medicate me for factual events and situations that I've already proven, and this is just another facet of the fucking oppression that this human earth monkey and spirit having a human experience has to go through. I'm over it, and I'm going to make it good. It's Good News Week. This is good news. I'm alive. Hooray. What do we do from here? We can't leave Rich, the earth monkey human, with no food, no contact, no house. I'm squatting, have been for 5 months, and not enough to survive, especially framed by the multi millions of dollars of detriment that I am owed immediately. I'm calling out those people today, and I am sending this video to key, powerful political people who must take action. I am an overdose survivor, which was framed, covered up. If I've done anything wrong, I'd be in jail. However, I'm not a rapist, I'm not a pedophile, I'm not an extortionist, and a dog fucker. So let's just get that out of the way. They will try and tell you that, however, and I am an infamous vagrant now. You don't get to be squatting by yourself with no one, no food, and no agency to get traction with police or any lawyer or be a whistleblower. And that puts me in an extremely vulnerable situation. So today, I'm calling out the people who need to take immediate action. Otherwise, this systemic and broad conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, which victimizes, identifies, and vilifies me, and further attacks me via proxy of powerful people, and their method is the same: delay, defer, deny. After this heartfelt speech today, in which, in case that happens, I ask the public to, and my friends who know me and my family, to invest in my justice, because without human-to-human heartfelt help, I will be catastrophically further character assassinated, and the intention is to kill. There is no other way to describe 18 months in poverty, ultimate poverty conditions, and all the while consciously, maliciously, and with intention. The powers that be are withholding my prosperity, but they can't withhold my voice. And if you kill me, this is already out there, and my wishes have been fulfilled, because as of today's date, the 26th of July, my wishes are to create a fund with the multi-millions of dollars of detriment that I'm owed right now. And should I die, should I live, my life has been transformational enough that I've used my suffering and led by example, advocating for people more marginalised than me, and I don't intend to stop doing that, either now or when I'm dead. So please, if you would consider just propping me up a little bit, and that investment, and I say it's an investment, will come back to you 5 times over, and you will realise that this movement it's almost a cosmic oppression that's literally killed me and then forsaken me, and has evil intentions to destroy me, is not the way of the light. And I am a light worker. Hey, I love fucking, sometimes drugs, but you know, I'm an earth monkey too, and I'm prone to all the sins and mistakes that earth monkeys do. I'm also kind of resurrected in a cosmic way by fate, because I was found, the Hospital Freedom of Information says, with no observable pulse and no blood, bled out, and unresponsive via accident. So through no action of my own, I am now, in an allegorical way, a resurrected and then forsaken person. Here's why that matters, and here are the people that continue doing it, and their opportunity for atonement, because I'm transforming this monetary currency that I'm owed into a trust which will help marginalised people and people with no voice. The coloured, the queer, the trans, the very young, the very old. People who deserve a second chance. And this is my dying wish, and today I've stated it. What is owing to me is to be put into a fund by anyone who follows me. My work here is done. Listen to this story. Bless you very much. It's absolutely true that as a political prisoner and a vagrant and person with no agency to act, and who is universally scapegoated and framed, I cannot go to police. Sorry, burped again. I cannot get a lawyer, and I cannot be a whistleblower. I'm at the mercy of the system, and I hope that my track record of you knowing me, or that this terrible tragedies happen to me, even on a human level, would convince someone to act with me in defence of my life, living. If the opposite is true, I'll die, and shit's going to get messy, because I already know how this ends. I was going to try and find the evidence, but I'm just going to speak from the heart. My friends and family are aware Steve Isonides and I were in a relationship for over 5 years, and we were engaged. I've tried to atone that, and he's denied a legal, just and equitable separation. He's admitted that we're in a relationship. I've got all that data. I've got all of the evidence for what I'm saying. Steve, it's your chance of an atonement for the time we had together, because as it stands, we had some fun, but it was a toxic relationship, and further, he's oppressing me from afar via proxy and getting me locked up in a psych ward every time I try and access his lawyer for a compensatory thing. He's already agreed. Everyone knows it. Why isn't the world saying, this is a shit thing what's happened to Rich? Steve is a political key stakeholder in Rich's life and prosperity, and we are going to defend Rich in his legal quest for justice framed by his relationship with Steve. Now, he was earning $300-400 a year at Apple and ASIO. He demanded that I stay on a pension of $350 a week. This is a unconscionable in power of balance, and it's a way I was financially and sexually coerced and kept as a control person all of this time. Steve didn't used to let me fuck him, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to fuck you now, because this is just, it's legal, it's equitable. I'm not doing anything nasty. What's actually happening is I'm an extremely vulnerable person who's literally already been persecuted and victimized to death. I've survived, and he's acting with cowardice by proxy to intimidate, threaten hitmen, and lock me up in a psychiatric ward via the methodology of exploiting my admission that I have a mental illness. I am absolutely not delusional in saying he's a key, powerful, former ASIO employed political kingpin, and he is worth millions of dollars. I deserve an immediate, just, equitable, and fair settlement. Steve, this is your chance, because if you delay, deny, defer this decision, that is an allegory of killing me, because I have nothing, and that is unfair. And I invested 5 years of my life with you, and I cleaned and cooked and all that kind of stuff. Now it's been an unholy thing, and it needs to be acknowledged straight away. And I'll go on now to the next little conspiracy. I'm fairly sure that Steve's going to play the delay, deny, defer model to action my harm and refuse to give up what is equitably and legally owed to me. That is because just before we broke up and he deceived me by cheating on me and other injustices, that he squirreled his millions of dollars away in different ABNs, which you can look on the ABN lookup, and I've published on the site below. And in addition to that, he tricked me into thinking that he has nothing, and he further oppresses me via proxy in a cowardly way from afar. All my friends and family should think this is abhorrent, and if you are not on the side of oppressing me, you would act to foster this equitable settlement occurring. I just want to say briefly, I've published a whole lot of evidence to support this, and it is undeniable fact. And evidence is that Steve, through his lawyer, admits the relationship, lies about the finances. There's something about EB services. Steve had a time of duress because he was baked as a cunt in Thailand on drugs and crashed both of our cars when he came back and was under watch. There's other evidence here as well. I can't find it now, but there's evidence of his pay rate. There's evidence of him living at White Street. There's evidence of me actually reporting the relationship to Centrelink, and then Steve told me he can't afford to keep me. Gee, that's weird, considering he was on $25,000 a month and I was on $350 a week. There's evidence that Monash Law refused to support me in this absolutely pivotal thing in the prosperity in my life. And there's also evidence that I tried to get an intervention order for Steve because he's admitted to being in violent situations where death has occurred. And further, that the intervention order was rejected by the magistrate, and it says that they said that they can't stop someone from getting in contact with me or affecting my life because of what's imagined to will have happened. But of course, as we've seen from history, and even just recently, I've only just sent a letter to his lawyer to try and get this just and equitable thing happening. And every time that happens, I end up in the clink in the psychiatric ward 2 days later. Rebecca Badenoch and Alexander Culshaw is the lawyers. Rebecca Badenoch and they admit a whole lot of things, and there's inconsistencies there. I've got all the evidence. There is no denying this thing is real, equitable, just. You can't hide. Come to the party. Don't kill me. And there's also his contracts. And geez, it's amazing what you save on your old computer. There's the ketamine he drugged me with. Yeah, that's good. There's his fat photos. Gee, wouldn't want those to get out, would he? Here's his resume. I've got his resume. Oh, here's an application for summons for an intervention order. There's all the details there. There's emails to Relationships Australia. No one will help me. This is how I'm systemically oppressed because they are attacking me via proxy in the money. Here's evidence. He had another ABN active from 1st of October 2012 as an individual sole trader. What's this? Here's some evidence. After we broke up, I'm saying I'm broke, trying to figure out finances. He knew that. He deceptively kept prosperity away from me. I had to squat in the house. He left me homeless with his dying dog Chopper, and to get me to look after Chopper, he threatened to kill it, which upset me. But that's how dark forces work. But Lucy, another person, was staying with me. It was an absolute clusterfuck. I've struggled. It's not right. Here's some of his engagement services at the MPS group. Here's an executive summary for a lawyer, which absolutely goes into the detail. Oh, and here's a draft of about $10,000 coming into his account every month. That's weird. And here's some evidence of he's paying $250 a week to someone. Here's more evidence of his hours. Here's evidence of me going bankrupt because of Steve. And here's evidence at AFCA or ASIC who refuse to acknowledge the relationship, and the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet also refuse to release my freedom of information, which would, of course, undo this cosmic conspiracy to fucking destroy me. So, I've just put all that evidence there. It's published on the website. Go to town. I don't know what else to do. Please don't blame me for publishing it because I've got no other agency to act. I'm banned from going to police. I'm banned from lawyers. And I'm banned as a whistleblower. So, as you can see, my hands are tied. I'm going to put all this out in the public domain, and it's there for you to witness. If you deceive me, if I'm killed, God will be angry. There's another important issue that's been my undoing, and it was innocuously recorded by me as evidence, unwittingly, because I only remembered it later. And I used that to make complaint, and there's a powerful lawyer called Mr. Russell Ball of Ball and Partners, and he protected a doctor who I've forgiven him, but it was a terrible thing, and it ended in my maybe death or overdose because I was grief stricken. I'd had many things wrong over the years, and a vulnerable person should have rang alarm bells. Didn't. Malpractice occurred. I made a point of it. Mr. Ball defended Dr. Whitaker and internally slandered me as an extortionist to internal government agencies. That includes Health Complaints Commissioner, Mental Health Complaints Commissioner, APRA, NHPAPC, the police, IBAC, the Victorian Inspectorate, and the Ombudsman. Now, Mr. Ball is a powerful person who acts with intention to deny my justice in a very just and equitable issue. The evidence is below with the recording. Everyone makes mistakes, and I forgive Dr. Whitaker, but the point is that I didn't know that I was set up to fail. This is a mini conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. It is libel and slander, and it was articulated professionally by Mr. Russell Ball, lawyer, and he framed me as an extortionist, and at the very same time he did that, I gifted back $100,000 to someone who gave it to me by mistake. I had nothing. I gave it back. It was the just and equitable thing to do, and it was fair. He said it was a mistake. I'm not going to withhold his prosperity from him like Mr. Ball actioned his awareness to exploit me as a vulnerable person who he had forward knowledge I would be unable to get a lawyer, and that is because he sits on the Australian legal bar and he informs government policy, and he additionally advises the Ombudsman. Now, this has set me up to fail in a huge fucking way, and character assassin my name, and it's really a character assassination. And a big part of the picture why I never got justice for that, and why I'm in the position I'm in. And I just want to say that is a valid form of, in terms of man-made law, it is a valid form of evidence that was collected as I was having conversations with myself, checking if this treatment was happening to me, because I'd seen the doctor for a long time. So it was innocuous, it was innocent, and I'm not an extortionist. What is occurring now that I have literally died, and via this partly oppression from that, and this little conspiracy to pervert the course of justice, and all the pawns in public office who refused to acknowledge that this evidence was permissible under the Surveillance Act 1999 in Victoria, because I can record a one-sided conversation, and that is a legal and just thing to do. If it wasn't, I'd be in jail, and they're absolutely aware of this, and they acted with impunity and conceited amount of privilege, as opposed to me, who's easily exploitable They watched me burn and suffer, and they aided and abetted my death and my harm as a suicide survivor in the hope, that I'd die. That case is live. It is within the 6 years that I'm allowed to make a complaint, and that case needs support to go to court. You cannot, as a conceited person with privilege, money and power, act with impunity to frame someone, frame them as an extortionist with libel and slander, and action their destruction systemically by getting lots of public pawns who are all required under the Charter of Human Rights of people with a disability to not act outside that remit. And as a public official, all the people in all those agencies I've just mentioned have acted with a movement that is a resonance to forbid my justice or voice being heard. My voice was heard, but then I was made out to be the bad guy. So that's not the case. The bad guys are people in society who have an amount of privilege, and they have money behind them, and they have an intelligence and a network that is systemic. It is within the realms of other lawyers and people of political power and privilege, and they all act in a kind of nepotistic way to all hang together and identify, vilify, and then victimise a vulnerable person who had a legitimate complaint. Mr. Ball, you've just been called out. I request that this go to a hearing, and I'm forced again to have this heard. You can't do this to me. The addition of your narrative that harmed me and added to my harm has been a huge aspect of what I call my murder, and following 18 months later, elongating the period and witnessing with the government the time that I suffer and don't have prosperity and live in an intelligently designed vagrancy in which to aid and abet my death. And you know what? I'm a nice person. I gave Dr. Whittaker gifts. I shook his hand and wished him well. I'd forgotten that I'd made that recording. This is an abhorrent way of powerful people to take advantage of other people, and it is with great innocence that I was reality checking the situation, and that further, it is an unfortunate situation that these kingpins in Australian political society who have much power all act in congruence and together in opposition of me getting any prosperity. I object to it, and I want to call it out. Thanks. How funny. I just looked up Paul Fowler of Comcare fame to do with work cover. Everyone's eligible to get work cover. I still haven't. It's still missing. Paul Fowler, I've just messaged him. Hi Paul, you've acted with intentional malice in your role at Comcare to deny me prosperity of work cover in regards to the SRC Act, and it has absolved my work cover claim and enhanced my detriment. I'm a person who's already been killed by the violence of neglect, and it's designed me to be a vagrant. This is in spite of the multi-millions of dollars I am to be legally in receipt of, if not for the conspiracy to pervert the course of justice that you've acted in resonance with. And furthermore, you're a lawyer. You well know that due to the Charter of Human Rights, people with a disability, it's not permissible as a public figure to act outside that remit, which means I must have equality before the law. You knowingly knew I was framed from litigation, and you watched me struggle and elongated the movement to deny me prosperity in your conceited and privileged position that was inequitable, unbalanced, and vilified and took advantage of me. In addition to that, I am a government employee. I have a Department of Social Security staff number. I don't understand the law. I'm researching as I go. Paul, you are the old boss at WorkSafe Victoria. And WorkSafe Victoria were pivotal when I put my work cover claim in to send it to Comcare, where it was set up to fail by you, and now is set up to fail at the AAT. And the evidence all the way along has been clearly that I'm in need and receipt of work cover, and the government, who you represent, is damned me to hell. Now, I just want to say that it's at the AAT. It's still ongoing. It needs to be acknowledged 18 months ago, and I've lived in a designed poverty that is systemic and comes from the very top brass. Because if the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet had have released my freedom of information, the revelation would have been that he has an outstanding work cover claim. He's a suicide survivor. He's suffered a fatal injury. He's banned from lawyers, banned from police, and banned at the agencies of APRA, ASIC, and the Commonwealth Ombudsman, thanks to Dr. Ball and other powerful people. And in addition to that, if we release this is going to be a catastrophic undoing of shit, and we're just going to gaslight you and deny you your freedom of information that protects all the people who Paul Rich has had to reverse engineer from humble beginnings. It's killed me along the way. Fate saved me. And now I'm further oppressed by the top brass, freedom of information from the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet. Thanks, Paul. You're an amazing person. I truly think that, but you've acted with impunity to victimise me, and in doing so is an allegory of really trying to kill me. And Member Pennell, oh, shameful man. You've acted with resonance, with the clear knowledge I will fail, and Kate Watson, the lawyer, in defence of the government who's already persecuting me, is now defending as a government lawyer at a government agency. It's all folding in on itself. Kate, you know fair well that I am being exploited and taken advantage of, and you are acting outside your professional remit as a lawyer, as Mr. Ball did, in a conceited amount of privilege and power to damn me to fucking hell. I'm sure you're a nice person. If I met you at a pub, I'd have a beer with you. However, in our professional capacities, we're only framed by what we can do and the hookers we are from the government that pays us like a cheap whore. And in addition to that, it's still owing. What am I going to do? Can someone sort their shit out? Because I got nothing to eat today. You know, they've watched me suffer and go insane. I'm fucking at it. You know, I deserve to have food. It's a legal right and privilege. And you know what? Man-made law hasn't worked for me. And in actual fact, I guess I'm exonerated from the whole equal, equitable, and just representation of anyone anywhere, but I'm still a large figure within politics. So I guess that makes me a heretic, and it makes me really unlucky, having had to suffer oppression to death. But, the good news is I'll still have a beer with you, Kate. And remember, Pernell, don't be a cunt. That's what the Buddha said. Yeah, so that message was to Paul Farrell. I'll just send that in on LinkedIn Premium now. That probably sums up my experience with WorkSafe, Comcare, and what was it? The AAT. Oh, and it also goes on to the Attorney General. So yeah, I messaged hang on, who was it? Michaelia Cash, and Michaelia Cash refused to intervene in the incredible and fucking blatantly obvious injustices that were pertained individually only to me, systemically, and further that despite me asking, I don't need welfare, I need someone to fucking act with the injustice, the human tragedy that's occurring, and oppose corruption, as is your duty. And your duty to me as a public official, Michaelia, was to respect human dignity. And you haven't done that. And I asked for you that I want justice, not welfare. And you sent me to the Sane Helpline, which is a really fucking black comedy, because my book was Sane's Book of the Year in 2002, and I was pivotal in that organisation. I'm a popular damned person, and literally damned. And but I'm happy, I'm chipper, and that's just calling out that bit, okay? Shout out to Bill Shorten and the Attorney General Mark Dreyfus, who was actually the Labor Party was going to do a thing into exploitation and corruption with this government, but I haven't seen it because in the shadow ministry, Mark rejected me, and I've met him at Puffers in the Park when he went to the gay day, the marriage equality day, and so he was nice. Unfortunately for me, he rejected me in opposition with all my injustice issues and sent a proxy person to send me to the government ombudsman, where of course I'd already been a rejected whistleblower and have ample evidence that I'm gaslighted, repressed, and ostracised and neglected at every fucking step of the way. And now that he is in the Attorney General's seat in this government, I've emailed him. Oh, and I almost forget, because they're taking advantage of that. I forget things. That's because I lost all my blood in a murder. But anyway, what I was going to say was that I emailed every politician as another person, and I pointed out Richard Mclean's injustice, and not one bastard got back to me. So message for Bill. Bill, you could easily say, well, he's got a DSS security number. He gets paid by Proda. He's paid by the government. He's obviously an employee by the government, because it actually says on the NDIS Commission's website that I can quote, a worker can be a contractor, a self-employed person, or a volunteer, blah, blah, blah. It actually says who a worker is, who isn't, and I'm a worker. There is no two bars about it. Bill, can you intervene? Because you know what? This delaying, deferring, I have emailed you, and I'm sitting here, I'm waiting, and nobody knows the troubles I've seen like Jesus, let me tell you. Because, Bill, you could really intervene and immediately solve the year-and-a-half long crisis, which has been my work cover, from which it was a valid psychological injury that was amplified by me being framed at 2 VOCAT cases, not 1, but 2. I was violently fucking kicked the shit out of because I saved a person, and the police, hello police, nice people, didn't release my freedom of information, which held the evidence of the violent affray, which shows I'm innocent. And I couldn't believe when VOCAT named me as the principal aggressor. I haven't got a violent bone in my body. I wouldn't punch my way out of a wet paper bag. Now, this sad occurrence it really flipped me. I'm like, why is nothing going right for me? And then the other one was it was a fucking torturous battle. I did my PhD. I had acknowledged my own child sexual abuse where I was the victim, and I wrote about it. I presented about it. The powers that be and family some people think that it can't happen in their lives, and well, they're wrong, and or within the framework of their people, their family, and that's wrong. And it actually does happen, and people suffer, and when nothing's expressed or talked about, it's repressed for so long that it becomes almost a disjuncture in the psyche of affected people. If you carry something for your whole life, you're going to be a bit burnt or worried by it, I'm kind of free from it now, but all I wanted was for someone in the fucking world to believe this had happened to me because I'd been framed as an extortionist, and I was mad because no one would believe my story, which has affected me profoundly over my life. And further to that, I made a complaint with the police. It went to VOCAT, and yourlawyer.com.au. Hello, about 6 different lawyers who oversaw my case, with really a methodology to lengthen the time that I would be distressed and at risk, whilst at the same time they were maybe unawares that I was working for the NDIS as a registered therapist. In my capacity as a therapist, I was articulating a VOCAT case for my client who had heinous child rape and incest issues. It was affecting my work, and the day that, I think it was nearly 3 years from the time of the complaint to when I wasn't even present at the hearing, and the magistrate ruled that I was doomed to fail. And I thought, well, that's bloody colourful language for what I've been through. Jesus. I was just really stunned. And that's because I was slandered and conspired against and called extortionist. And they thought I was doing it for the money. I'm not a money-orientated person. I've proven with my world and my work that that's not my apex of things. Equity is, equality is, justice is. I wanted to be acknowledged, and for that I was exploited, damned, and that magistrate is corrupt. And further, they didn't give me an outcome. No outcome. So there was no PDF. They just told me on the phone. And I'm like, I'm just isolated, What is wrong with this? Okay, well, send me it. Send you what? Send me the results. I want proof. I wanted some evidence that it actually fucking occurred, because I thought, well, they could be just lying. They might have taken it with the money. Anyway, there was money involved, but that wasn't the point of it. But and then they said the evidence existed on a computer, and I said, well, I need evidence. You, as a representative law firm and clerk in this country, you have to give me evidence that it occurred and the outcome. And they said, oh, that exploits personal information. I'm like, it's a fucking about me. Anyway, I complained to the legal fraternity, the legal bar, or whatever, and they covered your lawyers' asses. And that was a huge injustice that I wasn't even present. I had no hope. I'm set up to fail again and again and again. And that even a magistrate in her professional capacity believes the libel, slander, and will vilify me, rejecting justice, believing gossip, and damning me as the apex of a long, treacherous journey with my inner child screaming to be heard. And every one of them lengthened the suffering, and then the bullet in the thing was when I got the CD in the mail, because I had to apply for evidence that it even happened because they wouldn't give it to me, and the legal fraternity, the Ombudsman or whatever, backed them up and covered their ass. I'm left with nothing. I'm like, what's happening in my life? And so as a sexual abuse survivor, I've literally had no justice apart from the little tattoo and the cosmic justice of just knowing what occurred, and that I forgive the person, and I've never named them, and that will always be the case. And I just I think a really good band name is UMI, because how do you know that you weren't him and he wasn't you. What is the difference of consciousness and ego and action? Like, why can't we forgive the sinner? And I did it, not only because he probably made a mistake and for all intents and purposes lived a pretty average normal life as a person, but that I didn't deserve to hang on to that because I felt furious fucking rage when I saw him at a family do, and my former partner actually backed it up and said, "Who's the?" And so I didn't need to hang on to that anger, and letting go of anger is good for the soul. If you're hanging on to something, but it needs to be expressed before you can let it go. But anyway, that's how fate takes us turn. But when you're angry at something, you're hanging on to something thrown at someone as a hot coal. It's like you're getting burned, the whole time you hang on to it. And that's why I've got forgiveness. But at the same time, with this whole story and allegory, you need an acknowledgement, you need atonement, and you need something to happen, because the opposite of nothing happening is my death. And because without food, love, house, prosperity, I'll die. And systemically and universally, this is occurring. And I don't know. Yeah, that's just that little bit of the story. Yeah, started with something and ended somewhere else. Shout out to Dean on Grindr. He's messaged me today going, "I'm half baked and hungover after a sinfully lustful blowjob last night, and I've walked the dog at the park, begged for a coffee, and now making a viral video about God, forgiveness, and atonement. How about you?" Shout out to the Australian Human Rights Commission, where Liz Lindbergh set me up to fail again and again because of my epic fucking popularity, and free kicked over $1 million case to the opposition in a move that was I can't believe how people lie. How do people lie? The best liars are politicians, because they're sociopaths and people in positions of power, because they know how to work their way around things. Liz Lindbergh, champion of the people at the Australian Human Rights Commission, absolutely defiled my human rights by free kicking a $1.5 million deal to the opposition. And, as a person who later on was literally murdered and then survived, and with a brain injury, I could have really used the TPD payment that you illegally and with a conspired conscious intelligence free kicked and rendered around the legitimate injustice that was occurring. And Liz Lindbergh, Australian Human Rights Commission, thank you very much. What's with people? Shout out to Tim Goss and Peter Fisher from AFCA fame. AFCA are a financial organisation to do with superannuation, banking and all that kind of stuff. I had a lot of financial issues, and you know what? They have 4 weeks from their own policy to work out the determinations of a marginalised person, of which I was. Mine took it 1.5 years. This is clearly a methodology to delay my vagrancy in order to kill me. You kind of got your wish, but didn't quite work out the way the death you were hoping happened. You can just kick the can down the road and, within your capacity, be one stick in the faggot that kills someone. But the thing is, I've recorded you, Tim, in your arrogant conceitedness, and you can hear me begging, "Oh, why won't you not?" I've written letters to HCF and HCF, another one in a minute, and written letters begging him for some relief, financial relief that is legally and justly mine. This movement to oppress me knows no bounds. It's cosmic, baby. But what was I going to say? They were pivotal in instructing and articulating that I lose $1 to $2+ million. You wouldn't dream of it. And you know what? who came along? Jeff Tricker, the advocate, and he works for DHHS. I'm on the housing register as a marginalised person, and I emailed DHHS in Footscray, and I said, I need a home because I'm fucked. And they emailed me back, and with a insane amount of gaslighting, the Department of Human Services in Footscray said, we do not provide houses for people who are homeless. And I'm like, what's wrong with this picture? And Jeff Tricker came into it a little bit in my life where the story goes that I was banned from AFCA because I was going to call out the conspiracy that was fucking actual, factual and happening and name them. Fuck it. What do I get to do? So they wouldn't talk to me. They banned me, used me as a pawn, used it against me, that if I threatened to call anyone out when they were doing the wrong thing, and it was absolutely a conspiracy, that they would not talk to me. So I had to get Jeff. I tried to get Dad. He was bloody hopeless. Then I had to get Jeff Tricker. And Jeff Tricker has got his photo with bloody Tony Abbott. Oh, eat a fucking onion. And Jeff Tricker absolutely fucking knows what he's doing. But yeah, it was just cooked. The whole thing was cooked, and Jeff Tricker, thanks Jeff, was pivotal in getting me to lose over $2 million. Love your work, you deceitful cow. And yeah, he came and saw me in hospital actually, and I'm like, oh, fucking him again. Yeah, he already deceived me. Like, you know, I'm giving you another chance to what? To inject me with the obvious medication I need to oppose the delusions of persecution that I have, which is what I got to do today. Go and take a needle in the ass, one for the team, and an abomination and persecution from the federal government and Saltwater Clinic and Mercy Mental Health, who I can't sue for dying in there. And in addition to that, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, it was AFCA. Huge head fuck. Set up to fail. What the fuck, you know? Jeff Tricker. Bleh. Mercy Hospital. Bleh. You know, my injection to that, I've written to the Office of the Chief Psychiatrist, the second opinion people. I've talked to every psychiatrist in the land. They're all above APRA, and I'm framed at APRA. I don't know. I'm not that special. I'd like, you know, the apology from Werribee Mercy Hospital said, we apologise for returning the broken, dirty toilet brush in your clean clothes. It's not our policy to give away hospital property. And with that amount of arrogant, rude conceitedness for someone who'd literally killed themselves from oppression, they further oppressed me with a conceitedness that is insane, and they knew would push me over the fucking edge, and it nearly did. And you know what? I deserve a conciliation from Werribee Mercy Hospital because it is with an agreed illegal contraband that I died, which is against the Charter of Human Rights, and it is also abandonment of duty of care and an illegal contraband. And further, this is the whole epic thing, not one fuck was given when I died from anyone. No one cared. I stuck up for myself, because that's what I do. I'd forgotten the familiar enemies of Health Complaints Commissioner, Dave Stevenson, Mental Health Complaints Commissioner, the police, IBAC, and Ben Calder of the Commonwealth Ombudsman. Oh, he entertained me for a while, just to let me down by saying, but they apologised. Well, we know what the apology was. And here I sit today. I'm just about to get a needle in the ass, or the cops are going to come and fucking take me away. Because you know what? I'm crazy. And that's the irony of column A and column B, and why medicating someone as an oppressive force of damnation for delusions that are real is not equitable, ethical, or legal. And big fuck you to Saltwater Clinic, and especially fucking Cade Malloy. What a cunt. Love you, Cade. But deceitful bastards. You know, if they actually cared, the mental health system, if they cared, I wouldn't have lived after death in poverty for 18 months. They would have seen that I've got legal problems, that I've got housing problems, that I don't have enough food, and they wouldn't just act when I try and get my lawyer to go to Steve. Steve does something wrong, exploits my family. All my family think I'm mad. Get fucked. And it's just an uphill battle. And yeah, so that's that part of the story. I'll stop now. But needles in the ass for delusions that are real, that's not a good story for anyone. Really? And a big shout out to Micron21, James blah blah, whatever his name is, who was hosting my website, richmclean.com.au, and a whole lot of other websites as well, and domain names. Following on from White Dog Green Frog, hi Brian, thanks for the couple of bucks you sent me. You could have stuck up for my justice though. And that's the irony. But anyway, he's a Jesus man, and he's got all this property. What is it with Jesus people who have lots of property? Anyway, the church, they got lots of property. But what was I going to say? Oh, Micron21 disgracefully sent me an email out of the blue. Your website is destroyed. We destroyed all backups. You are no longer a customer. Goodbye. Now, that was an enormous defecation of me as a person, and desecration as the human entity that is Rich McLean, because it not only intentionally and maliciously destroyed something that had been going for 20 years, and that Brian defended James, that it was an absurd amount of oppression that occurred, and it was a willful destruction of evidence before a court, and it was a damnation of my digital identity with MyGov, Centrelink, anything that I had to sign into, banks. Rich at richmclean.com.au, it's fucking destroyed. I couldn't. I'm just like, keeps hitting me, bam, 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 bam. All these things are happening to me. I'm like, what is this story? You can't do that to someone. And anyway, they're still making money from it. Oh, I've got the evidence, and domains are still coming through. The emails are still linked, but the backups were destroyed. James oversaw it. Hi, James. What a cunt act. And further to that, I tried to make a complaint to police. Police wouldn't listen. No one cared that my website was destroyed. I wonder if if Xtube went down, what would happen then? But the Office of the Small Family and Business Ombudsman, Bill, whatever his name is, he didn't care. Who was it? The Telecommunications Ombudsman, he gave no flying fucks. Arts Law, they didn't give a fuck, just recently. And also business.gov.au or business.gov, they didn't care. Actually, anything with a .gov or .au in it is diametrically opposed to me, who's an infamous vagrant. And, I emailed Bill Shorten, not Bill Shorten, Dan Andrews. I emailed Dan Andrews about all this injustice, and a lot of the politicians. Dan, I like you. I think you're a good bloke. But, when you're exploited with madness, whether you are or not, or whether it's column A, column B, I'd pointedly and articulately spelt out the corruption that was occurring and the injustice that had happened. And Dan, it was middle of COVID, he had a lot to do. He sent me back to the very hospital where I died. And Werribee Mercy called me up and go, can you call us? It'd be really good if you called us, because they totally fucking rejected me and dumped me like a hot potato with no home, no food, no car, and rejected me at care, like literal care. They wanted me to die. And so they called me out of the blue, and Dan, Big Move Dan, had called Northwest Area Mental Health Service, where it had a meltdown from the stress years before. But there was a conflict of interest, so they sent me to Werribee. They called me up. Can you call us? That'd be good. And I'm like, I know why this is. Fucking Dan Andrews has called you. Dan, that's... I like people. But poor Rich... I don't know whether to go higher, lower, sideways. Where do I go for justice? I'm hungry. I'm getting hungry now. I've had an up and go. I begged for a coffee. I don't know. I'm just loving existing. And having the love of the love in the love. How fucking funny. I've got me, oh no. I thought it was lube. But it's chin ear cream. Had a wicked blow till last night, Moving on.